let's do this. There's the recording line. There we go. Okay. Fantastic. All right. So we don't have anybody else on, but we are recording, so that's good. All right. So let's see. Let's go ahead and share our screen and go to our Prezi. Okay. So what I want to do now is expand a little bit on what we talked about yesterday. Let's go to present. And just about prospecting, right? So yesterday we started talking about what were the two main areas for coming up with a prospect. What are the two things to focus on?
Vertical. I know it's horizontal departments, vertical markets.
No, vertical industry and departments is fine.
Yeah.
So lines of business, departments, that's fine. So, and that's such a key concept. It's such a key approach. So I want to make sure that we've got that mindset. So today, I want to talk just briefly, and then I want to start really more kind of workshop, right? I want you to start the activity. We'll do that together, and then you guys will have time this morning, pretty much the rest of the morning, to come up with companies and people that you would target. All right. So, and we'll probably call on these people at some point. So, I mean, this is a great exercise. It's live.
Okay.
When we talk about our research, this is it. All right. So, there we go. Okay. So, prospecting 101 is really that. It's the game plan, and there's no end all be all way to do it, right? There's no rule book or playbook where if you do this, and this, you will reach the person and you will make the sale. So that's why I say part art, part science. We talked about that a little bit already. So it's really a matter of, there are things that we are going to follow, things to help you. I call it cadence. Things to, we're going to make a phone call one day, send an email the next day. We're going to be very methodical in our approach to getting to people. We're going to have a reason to call them. We're going to have a format of how we message, right? We're going to expect getting their voicemail. We're going to have a script to lead for the voicemail. So we're going to be very methodical in how we approach it. But at the same time, there's definitely, and so that's the science part of it, but there's the art part of it too. You're going to have a conversation with somebody. You don't know what they're going to say. We're going to try to give you some pointers on how to have that conversation based on some things that they're likely to say. But there's a lot of this is going to be you. And if you think about the initial prospecting call, the cold call, all you're trying to do is get traction. All you're trying to do is get the person to have a conversation with you. 30-second, 2-minute conversation with you. That's the goal of the cold call. And so it's important that you have something meaningful in that 30 seconds or 2 minutes or however long that initial conversation is. It's important for you to have a dialogue that can allow there to be traction, to be a reason to talk. And the purpose of that discussion, that reason to talk, is to get them to look at a demo. So that, again, it's the breadcrumbs approach, right? All you're trying to do is get in contact with somebody, be able to have a conversation. You're going to do a little bit of research to come up with the crutch, the reason that you're calling, something to give, something you can lean on. It's not just, hey, Mr. Prospect, I sell video conferencing and I really want you to buy it. It's the things we talked about yesterday. It's coming up with what's in it for them. What's in it for the prospect? Why does the prospect need to talk to you? And it's you have an understanding of their industry and their department and maybe a little bit about their company. But it's not heavy research. You don't need to spend 30 minutes on a single prospect that you're going to call. If you spend somewhere between 2 to 5 minutes, that should be ample enough time to give you a reason to call. So that's when we talk about research, that's it. It's coming up, it's developing that reason to call. And then it's the other thing that you want to do is, in an effort to spend your time wisely, research that you do when you come up with a department in a vertical industry, if that gives you 5 companies that you can call that all do the same thing based on their industry, and based on if you can come up with 5 contacts in 5 different companies that do the same thing, then you've got pretty much the same messaging that you're going to be delivering, right? So if you spend 10 minutes and you've got 5 contacts, that's 2 minutes per contact, right? So again, it's leveraging the information, and you can approach it that way initially. The other thing to do is build upon your success. Once you have a reason to call somebody that you are really excited about, whatever it is, something going on in the news, something that you're familiar with. That's where we're going to start. Is just things that you've done in your past that you have some familiarity with, something that you're comfortable with. And once you develop a talk track or a reason for calling or some insight into that person, especially once you get some traction and dialogue, you kind of get going, then multiply that experience. Take that same prospect and now think about, okay, who else can I call? I had a really good conversation. That person needed to talk to me. I was able to get to the demo. And that person has a reason to look at the demo. Whatever that reason is, duplicate it. Find 10 other people that are in that exact same position based on the industry, based on the department. All right, so it's thinking about it logically to help give you a point to begin, a point to start, where you can come up with people to talk to based on certain criteria. So it's part art, part science. That's a very important concept to grasp. And so it's really coming up with this as our strategy, and it's about executing the strategy. This is nothing different than you play tennis. What sports did you play?
Basketball.
Basketball, no different than coming up with a strategy of going out there for a match or a game, and you develop the strategy and then you got to execute. You think and then you do, and that's where you hit your target. And we did mention this before, but you have to be very careful. You have to make sure that you are achieving that balance of strategy and execution every day. You've got to have, and there's no certain criteria. There's no, you can only spend 30 minutes on strategy and, 8 hours on execution. I know it's not 4 and 4. It's not 50-50. You've got to have more time devoted to the game than you do the strategy. More time devoted to execution than the strategy. But there's definitely a balance, and you'll find that balance. And like I said yesterday, it's very important to avoid traps. It's very important that you achieve this balance every day, where at the end of the day, you need to take a step back, regardless of whether you're day 1 in sales or day 10,000 in sales. You gotta take a look in the mirror and say, did I achieve my balance today? Did I devote time to strategy and execution? So let's talk about, I think the rest was going into, we'll talk about the demo tomorrow. So let's go into something. I'm going to give you a glimpse of this. Something that we're going to talk about next week is our cadence, right? So this is the methodology. This is, leaving a voicemail day 1, sending an email day 2, or, how we go about the different forms of communication. Again, there's no right and wrong. We're just going to have, I know, it's kind of like a judge one time said, the definition of pornography. I can't tell you what it is, but I know it when I see it. Kind of the same thing. I can't tell you exactly what to do, but I know when it's wrong.
Okay.
And I know when some of the things I've seen when people are reaching out, some salespeople are reaching out, and the average salesperson will contact a prospect, maybe twice, and that's it, and figure that, all right, they don't, it's dead end. It's got to take persistence. It's got to be, I think we come up with 7 different contacts, but contact points, and maybe more. There's the at some point you can be pushy to the point where you aggravate the person, but the majority of times people aren't persistent enough. And so our approach is different forms, whether it's telephone, email, LinkedIn, or other different forms of communication, but it's doing it in a manner that it's a condensed version. A lot of salespeople will send an email and they won't reach out to that person again for 2 weeks, and that's pornography. That's wrong. Again, there's no precise time frame, but 2 weeks is way too long. So we'll start with something, and then we'll play with it. So what I've developed is, I think I've got call the first day. Hold on.
What would you do?
So I did day 1. Whoops. Day 1 is an email introduction. Mr. Prospect. In fact, so I've got a beginning script. Mr. Prospect, I need to talk to you regarding XYZ, the reason for the call. I'm almost certain our Visual Huddle platform will provide you a much easier alternative than what you're doing, whether it's another technology, then whatever, a much better alternative than what you're doing today. Okay. I could show you the service in only a few minutes, and so you can judge for yourself. I'll call you tomorrow morning to schedule a quick demo. Thanks. Simple, easy, non-threatening, non-evasive. It's very quick to the point. All this is chum in the water, right? So you send 50 of these out. You follow up the next day with calls. The person and that way when you call, you can say, hey, Mr. Prospect, Ken Small with Diversified sent you an email yesterday regarding XYZ. So it's the reason for the call. And the prospect's likely to say, actually, you're going to get voicemail, I'm sure. So you'll leave 50 voicemails the next day, which is fine. So, the whole point to this is it's cadence. It's developing the, you get up in the morning, you got to send 50 emails. And the next day you say, you know what, I'm going to send 50 more emails. I'm going to call 50 people. And so it's having that cadence, and that's what helps you develop the top of the funnel. It's the target funnel is what it really is. And all you're doing in the target funnel is identifying people to put in the top of the funnel. And then as they come down, they come out of the funnel when you have a conversation with them. And that part of the funnel is going to have tremendous amount of churn, right? So if you think about that as that being the execution part, then that hopefully helps you understand how to approach the strategy part, right? So when we talked yesterday about industry and application, what we're coming up with are targets and the reason for call, and this is how we're going to execute the strategy of who to call. So I wanted to give you a glimpse of this. We're certainly going to go more in-depth into this next week, but I wanted to give you a glimpse into this so that as we start the exercise of developing our target lists, we have this in mind. We know what we're going to do with the information. So let's go back to yesterday when we were talking about industries and departments. And so think about some experience that you have with either jobs that you've had, people that you've worked with, people that you know, friends that are in different departments or friends that are working with different companies. Think about industries or departments that you would feel comfortable in calling either because of what you know through connections or what you know about that industry or someone that works in that department. Does that help a little bit?
Yeah.
So Ruben, you got a couple ideas? What are your initial thoughts?
I was thinking back to a lot of the lab work I did at Tech and at Georgia State as well, and we kind of had issues really being on the same page, I guess, from a collaboration standpoint. So I think that'd be an interesting market to kind of try and tackle. Specifically, psychology, biology, because I mean it's all research, and groups kind of range from 4 to 8 people, and I think something that we work on would definitely be able to give them an edge as far as being able to stay connected and collaboration.
Absolutely, and I love that, and I love that approach because it's unique and it's different. Yeah. Not many collaboration salespeople come up with that as an idea. So it shouldn't be chock full of competition. You shouldn't have Zoom, Blue Jeans, Cisco, and 10 other companies calling for that application, which means that once you get somebody, it should be a fairly fresh message, right? Yeah. So, Grayson, any thoughts initially?
I mean, I could add to that as far as like, so educational is not off the board, like as far as like.
Well, it's not off the board, but I'd be careful with it because so the sales process for EDU is very different than the sales process for corporate. Okay. The sales process for EDU, in many cases, you're talking to people that can't pull the trigger because they don't have budget authority. Okay. It's a more. Yeah, the budget process is different with EDU. Mm-hmm. In many cases with EDU, it's similar to government sales, meaning that many times people are shopping. They're prepared. They are in the mode to prepare to make a decision, but they're not able to make a decision until they get funding. And so it's a different sales cycle. And I don't want to it's not that we can't go after those opportunities. We definitely can. But I would caution you to start that out of the gate. Okay. And really, I'll tell you, the biggest reason is because I've got some familiarity with it. People around here have some familiarity with it, but not enough to give you the support that you're going to need to pursue that wholeheartedly. Okay. So I would recommend keeping it in the corporate sector. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean that you can't piggyback off, Ruben's idea. But I would say go after something that, out of the gate, I would go after something that you have some level of familiarity with in industry, that you have some level of familiarity with. Okay. And then from there, or a department, if you've got friends that have gone on to advertising or marketing or accounting or whatever, I would look at it that way, because then you've got, if you're thinking about friends, family, whatever, then you've got a resource that you can tap for more information. Okay. Now go back to when I graduated, and I had friends that were one became a CPA, one was in marketing. And so I look at those as very general areas. But I could sit down, have a beer with my roommates and say, hey, I'm going to pursue CPAs. Can you help me? What's important? Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to help you come up with ideas.
Fun.
Yeah. I was going to say something else. One of my buddies works at the computer science department for Macy's, and they're trying to roll out a new point of sale system, which is like a 15 to 20 person type of deal. So I can definitely look into that as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
A better collaboration tool as well.
Absolutely. And leveraging things like this is, it helps you, like that example, your friend at Macy's. If you can have a conversation with somebody, you can be absolutely brutally honest and just say, look, I just started with this company. The technology is incredible. It really blows me away with how simple it is to use and what it can do. And honestly, I'm just looking for a little bit of help. I know you're working on this project. I'd love to talk about this project and how this may be a benefit to you. But please know that at the end of the day, whether you buy it or not, it really isn't Yes, that'd be great if you did. Let's be blunt and be honest. That'd be great if you could help me sell this. But at the end of the day, I just need practice. I need to have practice having conversations about how the technology can be applied.
Okay.
So I would start thinking about, and we actually have a whole exercise on your circle of influence, your friends and family, and how to properly and appropriately message and talk to friends and family about what you do. And it all in an effort to come up with ideas and leads. But right now, this piece, because we're really focused more on greenfield mining, I would say sky's the limit. Try to keep it in the corporate sector and as much as you can, but go outside because of people that's fine. Think of industries, think of departments that you feel would help you come up with a reason to call. Because at the end of the day, that's all we're looking for is something to plug in our scripts. And the other thing to think about is you want to build a call list. I mean, we're gonna want to target 50 calls a day. And so, when starting out of the gate, you don't have any demos scheduled right now. So that, in one sense, it gives you the advantage to make 100 calls a day. I mean, you've got more time, is my point. So let's use that to your advantage. So the fact that you've got nothing but time to call and email and prospect means let's get creative with multiple industries, multiple departments, and let's come up with call lists that are vast. So then the other component that I'm using all this to help you build a foundation so you can go out and attack coming up with a call list. The other thing is I want you to start right now with just using information available on the internet or doing research that you can to come up with how you find phone numbers, email addresses, things like that. I'll give you a couple of sources that you can try, free trials, do some free trials and come up with a source that you like. And then we'll subscribe to that service so that you can continue to use it ongoing. I started to actually investigate some of these and was going to have something ready for us to go and then realized that, let me take advantage of the situation I'm in. Let me let you guys test it and you guys tell me what you like rather than me tell you what you're going to use. Mm-hmm. So we'll take advantage of that. We'll trial a couple different services. Maybe trial one for the first month, then we'll trial another one for a month and we'll compare and contrast. So I'll give you each a service to subscribe to. I'll go back and get you that info. Why don't you guys start putting thought to the greenfield exercise? I think the way that I outlined the exercise was to come up with 15 to 20 targets. Actually, I've got them here. You'll have this in your calendar. Today's the 18th. So this is exercise number 5, greenfield opportunities. Yeah, prepare a list of 15 to 20 targets to call on based on industry and department application. Try to get as much contact info as possible, get names, phone numbers, email. Just describe who you're calling and why. Try to get info on what they're using. So this is literally the research part of it. Again, starting off, take advantage of the opportunity you have each time. Because as you get into this and start really getting traction and being successful, and you're going to have a lot less time. You're going to wish you had more time. So take advantage of that now. Absolutely share ideas back and forth that you think will help. When you start, well, you know what? I'm going to let you do.
But the more trial and error. Yeah. Or the more experience I have looking into it as a career.
Mm-hmm. Smaller companies are going to be easier to call into. It's a general thumb.
Yeah.
Every company has voicemail filter. So expect that. But that's more about the cadence and stuff. Right now, this is about identifying targets. And we'll call these guys at some point. We're not going to do it today. We're not going to do it for a while. We're going to make you guys are comfortable with the messaging, the cadence, and all of that. So we probably won't do that until the end of next week. And we'll have plenty of time for role playing and doing things that are very comfortable when it comes time to get to go live on the phones. But for right now, it's important to understand the approach or the strategy coming up with your targets. All right, so I'll let you guys have at it. For right now, I want you to try to get the information on your own before you start a trial with the service that I'll give you.
Okay.
Excuse me. That's just because I want you to get used to leveraging different resources, whether it's Google, whether it's, whatever, doesn't matter.
Okay.
I want you guys to come up with resources on the web.
So 15 to 20 specific targets.
Yeah. That's not 15 to 20.
LinkedIn kind of plays in. You can go
Yeah.
through your feed and, companies are always saying what they're rolling out or, what they're looking for as far as who they're hiring and things of that sort. It kind of goes back to the training and, things of that nature. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. The other thing that you have the advantage of is the world is your oyster. It's all fair game. It's all fair game.
Okay.
What I would suggest is not having it be so vast that it's overwhelming. What I would suggest is coming up with 1 or 2 industries or departments, starting there and then expanding.
Oh,
So 15 to 20 targets is not 15 to 20 companies.
Okay.
These are 15 to 20 contacts.
That's what I was going to ask next. Okay.
They can all be in the same department. They can all be in the same industry. They can all be different industries. They can all be different departments.
Okay, I didn't know if you wanted like 20 different companies.
No.
20 different companies with 20 different people. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, to me, it doesn't matter. I'm just looking for, I want you to come back with exactly what I put here, which is I'm calling John Smith. He works at ABC Marketing or ABC Advertising. Here's his phone number. Here's his email. I'm calling him because I know that because he's in advertising, he's going to have a need to talk with clients using video. He's going to be more effective by talking to more clients each day than he can by traveling. And that's it.
Real estate agencies?
There you go.
Go for that.
Perfect. Beautiful. All right. And so I've given you guys ample time to do this. I am very happy to assist. What I would say is go at it, and then I'm right across the cube, right across the hall.
Okay.
So yell if you have questions, if you have ideas, bounce things off me.
Okay.
This can be very workshop oriented or discussion oriented. All right. I will see you guys over there.